Turn on Your Inner Light show. It's time to stop just surviving, and it's time to begin to thrive. It's time to live happier and healthier. Turn stress into strength. Noted author Debbie Mandel will show you how to move beyond personal doubts and fears and into positive perception to turn on your inner light. Here's your host, Debbie Mandel.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to my show. Our guest expert, Mark Matousek, journalist, professor, a contributing editor to O, creative director of V-Men, an organization to end violence against women and girls, author of several books, and his latest is Ethical Wisdom, What Makes Us Good. If you've been wrestling with how you ought to live, this book is for you. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Debbie. It's great to be here.
Now, I never ask this question, believe it or not. It's like the most common question, but I'm really curious. Why did you write this book?
Why did I write it? Well, I wrote it partly to educate myself and partly to hopefully enlighten people. One of the great cover-ups in our society is that human nature is basically good and that we're actually hardwired to be benevolent, altruistic, and cooperative, and that what we call evil and is really an aberration, and in terms of ratio, a very, very small, tiny percentage of human behavior. And yet, in this culture, we've been taught, thanks largely to Sigmund Freud, that we are and Catholicism, that we are fallen creatures, and that we're evil, and that we need to be saved, and that our lives need to be about, proving that we're okay. And the truth is completely the opposite. I've been a Buddhist for many years, and truly the fact is that human nature is good, and that once we know that, then we can change our behavior and have much more trust in ourselves. So that's why I wrote the book.
I thought there was maybe a little bit of a different reason.
Tell me.
I'm going to implant this in your head. But looking at the book, I was wondering if it was a way for you to sort out your own goodness, as though you were trying to convince yourself that you were good or your mother was good. It's like someone finding, you know what, like the Arthur Miller Puritan play with John Proctor, and John Proctor was trying to prove to everyone that he was good, and his wife Elizabeth Proctor says he hath his goodness now, when he's hanged, of course, like any good wife. He's good because now he's been punished. Anyway, does that resonate at all?
Well, in the sense that I grew up in the beginning of the book is describing this moment when I was a kid. We were very poor, where we were on welfare. My dad had left, and my mom started working at a department store and bringing home stolen clothes for us. And I was just a kid, but I knew that it was stolen. She gave me a coat, and I knew that it was stolen. And for me to know that my mom had lied to me and actually stolen something on top of it, sort of threw me into a spin, kind of an ethical spin at a very young age. And like, was I wrong for taking it? She did it out of love, so was she wrong for stealing? And so in the sense that I had a kind of moral uncertainty about the world and myself and ourselves, my family, yeah, I guess there is truth to that. I mean, my whole life has been about being a seeker, a spiritual seeker, and that certainly comes from trying to figure out who you really are, because identity is a hard thing to understand. So I think you're probably right. There was certainly an aspect of that to it too.
I was looking at the book from this golden thread of theme and variations, and that kept coming back to me. And what I most respected was your candor, and you're weaving in your personal consciousness and the events in your life that you were grappling with at such a young age, and then coming to some sort of peace with them. Now, how does living an ethical life, you made this point, help us to live longer? That's very intriguing.
Well, when you behave ethically, you first of all, you surround yourself with people who are helpful to you because you are ethical toward them, and reciprocity is one of our deepest hardwiring in our brain. So the people around you become your biological allies. You actually feed off one another's energy, and that tends to, feed longevity. Also, when you feel better about yourself, your health improves. I mean, this is a truism. Most of us know it just from personal experience. And so when that becomes a code of behavior for your life, it gives you a kind of moral backbone which helps your body, mind, and spirit. So it's all connected, which is another thing that I wanted to show with the book, that because we're actually hardwired to be good, our bodies are in service to us waking up, using higher consciousness, and also, living longer, happier, healthier lives.
Or adding life into your years, whatever time that we have. I feel like we will come in the middle of the movie and leave in the middle of the movie. What kind of movie do you want? I would like to have a happy movie, a romantic comedy.
Exactly.
So that works for me. But let me play devil's advocate with you, and I do that so very well. Maybe I am a fallen angel. What I would like to say is that you say there's a reciprocity, and I certainly believe that in order to be healthy and happy, you need to have a balance between giving and receiving. But so many people are givers, and givers have a lot of takers lined up for them. So just because I'm behaving ethically or I want to be ethical doesn't mean I'm surrounded by ethical people. It might be the opposite.
No, that's absolutely true. And being ethical doesn't mean being stupid, and it doesn't mean not, calling a spade and seeing how, when we are not reciprocated to, when people don't give back, the natural thing to do, you give them a second chance, but then you don't give them a third chance. And that is, so being ethical, being moral doesn't mean being a doormat, and it doesn't mean being a, vending machine of compassion for people. It means being awake and being in right relationship with people, so that if there isn't reciprocity, you might tell them, so you might actually help them wake them up, tell them, that you're feeling that there's something missing in this exchange, so they can actually change their behavior, or you stop giving. It's natural and appropriate to stop giving when you're not being given back to.
A kind of measure for measure, but we go to commercial break. Sorry to interrupt. And we will return with Mark Matousek and his book, Ethical Wisdom, What Makes Us Good.
Now you can take Debbie Mandel home with you. Her book, Turn On Your Inner Light, Fitness for Body, Mind, and Soul, will help you decompress with healthy, positive, concrete solutions. Common life challenges are presented so that you can quickly find the help you need. Emotional tips, original meditations, and a fun and easy-to-follow fitness workout for each mindset. This revolutionary new method will help you rewire mind and body to take back your power. Get it on Amazon.
Are you overwhelmed with the burden of taking care of children, parents, or both? Are you taking care of everyone else except yourself? It's time to change your habits and re-energize. Debbie Mandel gives you an innovative and easy-to-follow program for good health and happiness. In her magical new book, Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout, Debbie Mandel shows you step-by-step how to find the optimal balance between giving and receiving, and guides you to exercise and eat right to take care of yourself. What are you waiting for? Read Changing Habits and start training for your life. Life does not need to be a burden. Get Changing Habits, The Caregiver's Total Workout on Amazon.
You're listening to the Turn On Your Inner Light show. I'm your host, Debbie Mandel, and I'm speaking with Mark Matousek, the author of Ethical Wisdom, What Makes Us Good. Mark, you know what I really enjoyed about the book on a personal level? And he doesn't know what's coming from the fallen angel now. I liked, if I understood correctly, the idea of embracing the opposite. You know, like life is a tension of opposites. And if we see that, and like John Donne, like the metaphysical school of poetry, where if we can do that and go with that, we could live more ethically. Does that?
Absolutely, it's true. I mean, when you say opposite, you mean the shadow?
I mean opposites on everything, sort of like push and pause, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely true. It's being able to live with paradox, that both things are true. You know, you both want to want to help a homeless person on the street, and you want to sneak behind the house and have a cigarette. I mean, both are true. And in terms of behavior, I think it's absolutely critical that we let ourselves be the contradictory creatures that we are. I mean, we are complex, and it scares people because we'd like to just be squeaky clean, or we'd like life to be simpler, more one-dimensional than it is. But we are complicated, and who you are on any given day depends on where you are, situation. That's one thing I talk about in the book a lot, is all of these scientific studies showing how behavior changes in situations. You know, we think we're one person, but you're not one person. You're not one personality. You morph as you change, as you move through the world, playing different roles and trying to get different goals and impress different sorts of people. So we're not one person, and we're not simple creatures. And so what you're saying about being in the opposite is absolutely true. I mean, one of the fascinating and hard things about being human is that we are both spiritual and physical creatures. I mean, that's a dichotomy. That's a paradox. How do you love with this mortal body? How can you have transcendent love with a mortal body? I mean, that's an opposite, and we live with it every day.
I think the answer to that is, if I might be so bold, is you embrace your humanity. And I don't think about transcendent love. I think about immediate, real, earthy love. I'm a gardener. So to me, that's my consciousness. And I think that the point that you made also about paradoxes and contradictions and these opposites is that that's why the truth is so fluid, and it's hard to see things in an absolute because there are so many sides to the story, and we all self-justify, don't we?
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, when I said transcendent, I didn't mean it to sound so, la-di-da or lofty. What I really mean is that we have a body, and yet love is a selfless act. And so we need to transcend ourselves in order to feel empathy and to love another human being, and yet we're in this selfless little body that has its needs. And so that creates a tension for the conscience, and every choice you make is sort of a balance between, do I do this for myself or do I do it for someone else? And so that's what I meant by transcendent.
So what do you do? Do you do it more for yourself or someone else?
I look for the win-win, Debbie. I always look for the win-win, and that's when you realize that there's a third position. It's not your way or my way, but it can be an our way. I think life opens up. Everything changes then.
I think that's very well said. You're all right, Mark.
You are too.
Now, come into the female consciousness here. So do women shape moral wisdom? I asked that for a lead-in.
Do women shape moral wisdom?
Yeah. You wrote about, the mother-child relationship, the moral attachment. I'm just taking it to another level, slipping it in there.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the most interesting things that they've learned about how empathy is communicated. Children learn it from their mother or the primary caregiver, who's usually their mother. And we learn to care by watching how our mothers care for us. So in a certain way, yes, they create the ethical, language, that classroom that we first learn in and tend to shape our values. Now, in the bigger sense, in terms of the male versus female, I mean, women tend to care more about caring and connection, whereas men tend to care more about justice and fairness. And I think both of sides of that equation are necessary for the world to work. So men also shape ethical life. But I think in the intimacy of childhood, it's more the mother who does it.
So the first attachment, the first role, but what you're saying is that there's really a difference between the way men and women, I guess, shape their moralities.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a famous experiment of boys and girls playing at sports. And on the field, when a girl gets hurt, the game stops and all the girls surround her to see if she's okay. When the same thing happens with a group of boys, the one who's hurt is expected to get out of the way so that the game can go on. So that's the difference between a male and a female orientation.
Although women are changing.
Of course, yeah, sure. This is how we're wired, and lots of change.
We're overcoming it. And if we're tough like a man, you know what they call us. So we're trying to navigate our true nature, which, like you said, we wear so many masks. Now,
female power is something to reckon with.
Oh, for sure. Spoken very wisely.
But real power, not male-imitated power. Real female power.
Again, well said. Yes, the power of creation.
Men are scared of women.
Do you think it's because we give birth, and that's very magical to men in a kind of prehistoric way? I mean, it must be very frightening to see life come out of a woman.
That's one reason. I think it's also women are sexually superior. Women can, men are sort of a one-shot deal. Women can keep going all night long. We don't think that's
in what universe is that? But we go to commercial break, and we will return to Ethical Wisdom, What Makes Us Good with Mark Matousek.
Dear listeners, I'm excited to tell you about my new book, Addicted to Stress. This is a message you need to hear. Are you addicted to stress? Do you do it all while everyone depends on you? Where's all this pressure coming from? It is coming from inside you. This is why my publisher, John Wiley, asked me to write Addicted to Stress, a woman's 7-step program to reclaim joy and spontaneity in life. This fun-to-read book teaches proven strategies to reclaim your life, silence your inner critic, build a healthy body, and reframe your thoughts to change your life for the better. Dare to be happy without the guilt. Addicted to Stress is easy to get. It's available at Barnes & Noble and other fine bookstores everywhere. You can also buy it at Amazon and other online retailers.
We're back with Mark Matousek and Ethical Wisdom, What Makes Us Good. Mark, we're born with a negativity bias. That has enabled us to survive from an evolutionary standpoint. So what makes you say that we gravitate to the good?
Well, there are two, again, we were just talking about opposites and paradox and contradiction, and we are wired to expect the worst because prehistorically it was better to expect that the person coming at you was an enemy or that there was a there was a saber-toothed tiger around the corner and stay alive. So this was a basic survival evolutionary tactic. Gravitating toward the good, I'm talking about our higher reasoning skills, the higher angels of our consciousness, the things that come from the neocortex. Imagination, the love of beauty, the need for something transcendent in our lives. One of the major moral chords that is in the moral organ in our brain is for sacredness and purity. We need some sense of sacredness and purity to survive in a what is a pretty brutal world. And so both are true. Both are simply true. It's not one or the other.
And both preserve us, don't they? So you
do.
really agree that there is a God gene, so to speak, whatever God that is that we choose.
Absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Something bigger than us. Something, as Jonathan Haidt, the wonderful psychologist, says, it's something to turn off the me and turn on the we. Mm-hmm. We needed that to survive as a species That's why people congregate in churches. That's why people at sports stadiums say it's a religious experience. We're wired to connect in these large groups as a survival, and also as a sense of, to have a sense of something greater than ourselves. Yeah, we need that.
Yes, that's our tribal nature.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, again, a contradiction. Our tribalism is so divisive in the world and is a cause for much suffering.
Yes.
So
yeah. Well, that's why if we move toward the tribe of man as opposed to the tribe of, Americans versus Iraqis or whatnot, I think that's what the future has to be, is that we're moving toward it being simply the tribe of man. And that we are all, it sounds so corny, but,
it doesn't. It sounds really hopeful.
We're brothers and sisters. We are brothers and sisters. And that's what this global, economic and environmental catastrophe is waking people up to, is that we are here on the same planet together as one species. I mean, just imagine if there was only, if there was only you and one other person on the planet. It could be anybody. It would be your brother or sister. So the fact that we draw these lines is obviously insane.
Just let it not be my mother-in-law.
What?
Let it be anybody else. but I think what's really nice about it is that when we take away the divisiveness and we can respect each other's customs, we can at least make some sort of peace. I liked what you wrote about the distinction between shame and guilt, and how when we shame people and we shame other nations, we really cause violence. There is so much in this book, going from your personal narrative to weaving in psychologists and voices and quotations from the Bible, various Bibles, and then the opening up to the sea of people. And I really thought that was very inspiring.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
Well, it's nice to write a book where you can accomplish so many things. It's beautifully written. It has a lot of opinions and choice. It's not like you're browbeating anyone into submission.
I wanted it to be non-sectarian, politically incorrect, and no religion and no politics.
It succeeded, but our time together has flown. Do you have a website if we want to find out more about your work?
Yeah, it's MarkMatousek.com. That's MATOUSEK. And I'd love people to follow me on Twitter if they feel like it. I spew my 2 cents all the time, and it's fun to be in touch.
Well, your 2 cents is worth a nickel with inflation. Be well. Thank you for an inspiring interview.
Thank you so much.
Affirmation of the week. Why try to understand the nature of reality when it's more productive and interesting to create the nature of reality? And now for the latest medical trends. A new study found that 20% of high school students who call themselves smokers, most of them don't smoke daily or frequently. Well, that was heartening. For cleaning soft contact lenses with multi-purpose disinfection solutions, the rub and rinse technique is most effective for eliminating microorganisms, even when using what is called no-rub disinfection solutions, according to a report from the American Academy of Optometry. So even if it says no rub, it's recommended to rub gently. Researchers at Columbia University Medical Center have discovered the biological mechanism between age-related loss of muscle strength and identified a drug that may help reverse this process, which is currently in phase 2 clinical trials. They refer to it as a protein called S107 to help stop calcium leakage. If less calcium is available for muscle contraction, the muscle actually weakens. When it comes to rearing children, just about any parent will say that what works with one kid might not work with another. Well, apparently that's true. A study by the University of Washington psychologist provides information about tailoring parenting to children's personalities. And once again, blueberries are hailed as a superfood. Blueberries are among the nutrient-rich foods studied by the University of Alabama at Birmingham Comprehensive Cancer Center. The investigators are exploring the link between disease and nutrition. Dietitians there say as little as a cup of blueberries a day can help prevent cell damage linked to cancer. Okay, I like blueberries, doesn't hurt. And more research shows that aerobic exercise a little bit lowers coronary heart disease risk. Well, we come to the close of another show. I have an educational website on stress management totally free, TurnOnYourInnerLight.com, where all the radio shows with the guest experts are archived for your listening pleasure. Subscribe to my free newsletter at TurnOnYourInnerLight.com, and you will receive the latest radio show, a fresh new article on stress management, the health tips fully delineated, emailed directly to you. Have a wonderful week, and see you on the radio.